2020 and 2021 were a bit of a tough challenge for developers. The worldwide health pandemic outbreak caused so many quarantine orders and shutdowns to take place. As a result, several video games that we were anticipating have been pushed back. That should make for quite the packed year for video games in 2022. In this list, we're going to highlight some video games we can't wait to play. With that said, don't read too much into the actual ranking here. Until all the games are out and 2022 is wrapping, it's difficult to really rank these games. Without further ado, here are our picks for the best new open-world games coming in 2022. Number 10. Atomic Heart is an upcoming action role-playing video game developed and published by Russian studio Munfish, who also developed the VR game, Soviet Luna Park, which was discontinued. The game is planned for release for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One and Xbox Series X and Series S in Q4 of 2022. Gameplay: Atomic Heart is a FPS video game with action role-playing elements. The combat in the game consists of shooting and melee swinging with improvised weapons. There is a crafting system where the weapons can be pieced together from metal parts that can be detached from robots or taken from household appliances. Weapons can also be upgrades via a mechanic called cassettes. Ammo in the game is scarce and there is a sneaking option. Quick time events are also featured in the game. Number 9. Obsidian Entertainment is known for delivering some pretty iconic RPG titles into the marketplace. In the past, these folks brought out Fallout, New Vegas, Pillars of Eternity, and The Outer Worlds, to name a few. However, we know that the studio is working on another brand new RPG title called Avowed. It's set to be in a fantasy world, and that's about everything we know. This could be a challenge at Bethesda's The Elder Scrolls franchise, but now that both studios are under the control of Microsoft, it's hard to say just what this game will be like at this point. We've only received one teaser for Avowed, and it didn't offer anything substantial about the gameplay, narrative, or the world it's set in. Still, being a game from Obsidian Entertainment, our expectations have been set pretty high. Number 8. Forspoken is centered around a young woman named Frey Holland that gets transported into a hostile fantasy world called Athea. This action RPG is all about Frey having to fight off hostile enemies, explore the massive world with her sentient bracelet, and ultimately find a way back home to New York City. We are still waiting on more details to come out about this game, but so far, the gameplay footage teased shows quite the fluid and fast-paced world to dash around in. There are various terrains as well, whether it's rocky mountains to lush forests. Number 7. A new Saints Row game is in the works, and so far, reception is mixed. The game is not out yet, but some longtime fans are uncertain how this installment might go. In this game, we're following a new gang that is rising up to take power. Set within a fictional American Southwest city, factions are already established, so it's an uphill battle to gain some notoriety. Again, we'll get new characters to take control of the streets, although we're uncertain if the gameplay will end up being over the top like past installments. So far, we know that this game will be hitting the marketplace early in 2022, some more details should start coming out soon. Number 6. There have been rumors that Microsoft wasn't going to keep the Fable IP on ice forever. Thankfully for fans, Fable is making a significant return with a reboot. Unfortunately, very few details have been released so far at the time of writing this description. Fable has always been about adventure, making choices, and exploring the open world. With this being a reboot, we don't know if we will experience a familiar narrative or if there will be any locations and characters making a return. What we do know is that Playground Games are developing the title. If you're not familiar with the name, Playground Games is a studio that is responsible for the Forza Horizon franchise. As a result, this is quite a different project for the studio to handle. While it's clear that the development studio can craft up some beautiful landscapes for the Forza Horizon games, we're uncertain just how well the team can pull off an action RPG, especially one that has a big following. Number 5. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild was a massive hit for the franchise. It took players into a big open-world environment, with Link having to save the day once again. This is a must-have title for the Nintendo Switch platform, and it was a bit of a surprise to see that a sequel was already in the works from Nintendo. It was unveiled back in E3 2019 that a new installment would be coming out that will help build up the world we are already familiar with, along with a brand new storyline and gameplay mechanics. Unfortunately, we don't know anything about this sequel yet, and it's uncertain when exactly we'll get this game. However, we're interested in seeing just how the world will change up to, or if we might even see some new areas get tacked on. Number 4. Bethesda might be known best for two franchises, The Elder Scrolls and Fallout. However, it was clear that the development team was interested in bringing out a new IP into the marketplace that would hopefully have as much success and fame as their past video game releases. Starfield is an upcoming science fiction video game from Bethesda, which was said to be a next-generation title and that it would be available before the launch of The Elder Scrolls 6. While the next-generation consoles are available, we're still left waiting on Bethesda to reveal just what Starfield is about. So far, we know the game is set in the future where humanity is colonizing space. In fact, the narrative is centered around 2 decades after a big faction war. Our player will be a space explorer venturing through different areas. However, the specific details of the premise have yet to be unveiled. Number 3. Dying Light 2 was unveiled during E3 2018, where we are once again tossed into the apocalyptic zombie world and forced to fight for survival. Players will be in a new city location where factions are constantly battling to retain control of the area. However, the developers give players more freedom as they can choose to go down various pathways, though they will all have their particular consequences. Just as before, this is an open-world game that will allow players to traverse freely. You'll have to battle the undead if you choose to leave beyond the city walls, but it seems that life inside the walls is not always safe either. Set 15 years after the events of the original title, Dying Light 2 will still retain the same hostile zombie creatures, though they will continue to be lethargic during the day and more aggressive at night. Meanwhile, our protagonists, this time around, will have more parkour combat at their disposal. Number 2. One of the more popular exclusives on the PlayStation 4 console was Guerrilla Games' Horizon Zero Dawn. This was an action RPG that throws players into the distant future where humankind has fallen, nature has taken over, and large mechanical beasts roam the land, forcing what's left of humanity to resort into small tribal villages. Not much is known about the world of metal, and as a result, seeking the old city structures has been considered taboo. Meanwhile, in the first game, players take the role of a young woman named Aloy, who was banished from her tribe as a baby. Grown up, Aloy is working to piece together where she came from and why the tribe would even banish an innocent baby. Now it looks like we have a sequel called Horizon Forbidden West. Players will once again take the role of Aloy, who discovers a new infection plague that is spreading across the land. In hopes of fixing things, Aloy is forced into traveling to the Pacific coast to find the plague source. However, along the way, she will encounter some new mechanical beasts along with other hostile factions. Number 1. There were quite a few fans out there eagerly waiting for the launch of Elden Ring. This is a new game by developers From Software, who you'll know from the Dark Souls franchise. Players can expect another game full of brutal combat and deep lore. This time around, we have a large open world to explore with plenty of hostile enemies to face against, castles to conquer, and catacombs to uncover. We know that the game will have multiple different paths and even endings. Overall, this means you'll have some freedom in your campaign. Additionally, since this game world is so large, players will have mounts to traverse quickly and a fast traveling system to make the trek easier to manage.